start the video. Okay, so when I start the video,
Yep.
Let's see you. Okay. You press start the video.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hi. Good afternoon. Time in Singapore now is 2:35. Welcome to Singapore session. We are gathered here to mark the Global Clinical Engineering Day. We are from the Biomedical Engineering Society of Singapore, and we are very excited for the first time to participate in this global event to mark the Global Clinical Engineering Day, which recognizes the important contributions of clinical engineers around the world. Let's have a round of introductions. I am Chun Wai from the Healthcare Chapter, the lead, and I would like to acknowledge Professor James Goh, who is now in Beijing for the same event. Maybe around the table we have.
I am Sasha.
Hi, Casey here.
Hi, I'm Sylvie Kumar.
Hi, I'm Daniel here.
Hi. So of course we have Han Xiong also our member in Beijing for the same event. Today we have actually invited Daniel and Cecil to join us for this event today to share with us their thoughts, because they have many years of experience as biomedical engineers in Singapore. So I'd like to ask them a few questions, and of course feel free to ask them questions as well. And they'll share with you their thoughts on Global Clinical Engineering Day. So I'd like to start off by asking, how does this Global Clinical Engineering Day mean to you, both Daniel and Cecil, both personally and professionally? Share with us your success stories in biomedical engineering and the challenges that you face in Singapore. And where do you think this clinical engineering in Singapore profession is moving towards? And how can we help Singapore achieve that? Okay, maybe Danny would like to start first.
Yeah, this is a great event. It's basically networking all the biomedical engineering interested parties around the world. So in Singapore, in fact, biomedical engineers named as biomedical engineers instead of clinical engineers. So there is a slight difference in that sense, that how do we reckon the biomedical engineers in this field. So the challenges in a sense for the biomedical engineers in lacking of clinical engineering part is bridging the gap between the physicians and the engineers. So I will let Sandra to continue with some ideas on that.
Okay, being as hospital biomedical engineers for the past almost 2 decades, we have quite a number of challenges, especially for the small islands like Singapore. We don't have any manufacturing plant for any major business, unlike countries like developed countries like India. So we have a lot of most of them our challenges being as biomedical engineers. We have to face the technical criticals of the technology. It is usually unlike other countries, they usually keep for example like infusion farms, they have to keep on 15 years or 10 years. Unlike in Singapore, we always supposed to change every 5 to 7 years because of the technology absolutely very fast. And moreover, we don't get a spare parts. Unlike other countries, like in Germany, they used to keep. I saw many German hospitals. They used to keep for 20 years. The equipment are well maintained by the clinical engineers. So that kind of probably from that angle, one advantage to the biomedical engineers in Singapore, they do have a lot of exposure to the varieties of equipment. And second thing is they have to the latest technology. They used to upgrade themselves to the best. Then other than the demerits is probably they have lack of highly applicated that unlike in your side they have at least this so-called clinical engineers which they are professionally certified. No, myself as a professional member is American College of Clinical Engineers. And we don't have so-called much interaction with the so-called doctors. Maybe occasionally we have to discuss with the doctors, we have to face the challenges, especially using the equipment on the application side. But we have a different group of foreign specialists which they cover under our enterprise. Usually they take care of, they call a critical product specialist. Usually they cover. But from the EDS, from the what do you call EDS for the single application, which is normally we have a setup local exposure. So recently we have signed up with a few vendors, MSP, like Philips and go for the so-called critical application training, so-called deep study. It is a new avenue they opened for the last 8 months. So we all the engineers sign up. So that's a really good avenue so that we know what are the challenges being faced by the digital professionals. That's the one. The second one is the costing. Rising the costing able so the regulation also is the commodity. So we always have a challenges to find the side. We try to replace the part probably is equal to sometimes it's not suitable so that we generate proposal for the replacement. So sometimes so-called the value of the equipment is not worth in terms of repair when we compare to other countries. What we call the present value of the equipment. It's normally they always go by 7 years or 10 years. This is somehow the critical engineers perspective in Singapore. This is a small network, basically, but very vibrant and dynamic. All the time we have shared each other any problem, and somehow we tied up with the ECRI. We always get a alert before our suppliers and the vendors reply. And moreover, we have a very good authority, regulatory, the health tech authority of Singapore, which is to regulate all the equipment supplied to the hospital. They must be approved before they sell the equipment to the Singapore hospital. So, that's a health tech authority of Singapore is a regulatory body which is used to regulate any equipment. Previously, I think before 2010, we don't have a system like this, so anyone can sell any equipment. It's like a trading, it's like another trading product. So we have a lot of spurious products in the market. So a lot of substandard in the market, and sometimes the people sell it whether I'll use the right equipment, whether it's approved by the right, like for example, after we deploy the HSA and the they only go to the FDA approval as well as Canadian agency, Japanese agency, all this. Then finally, nowadays we mentioned that standardization is very important for all the hospitals, but we use approved products so that the standard is very clean, so that the patient is receiving the safety products of that side.
Yeah, some of the challenges that I think this part of the world that we are facing is due to the lack of clinical engineers in terms of understanding the physician's needs and bridging the gap between the, as I mentioned earlier, between the physicians and the engineers who are actually designing new medical equipment or using the technology which is available. So therefore, we biomedical engineers in Singapore especially, we are working pretty much on the finished product. Then we are doing research or designing so that's probably the difference between some other parts of the world in terms of US, Europe. They do participate in designing of medical equipment. Yeah. Yeah, volume. Yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. I think Coming is there, is it?
Sorry?
Coming, are you there? Coming is Coming. Okay, yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Safety, comment, and
Okay.
education.
Okay, maybe you have any questions for Tekan and no, any questions for Danny and Senthil?
Danny, I have a question. Senthil, I have a question for you. You mentioned about ECRI and you mentioned about regulatory bodies. Can you sort of also highlight from global perspective or ASEAN perspective, is there a difference in biomedical or clinical engineering among ASEAN countries? Any standards which other countries follow which Singapore doesn't follow?
Okay, in Singapore, I think in Asia itself, I don't think so any specific clinical engineer certification, unlike like a CCE kind of thing being offered by so-called IEC or ACC and all. So here what they do, basically our engineers follow the background of direct the biomedical engineering qualification. So during the course of probably the fully exposure of the part of the course, they study the physical exposure. But unlike the CT, wherein they talk about the fully what are the clinical side application problems. So how to extract the problem. But here, unlike in the US and all, usually the clinical engineers work closely with the doctor. Whereas here, we work closely but not really involved in the clinical problems. If we just interact with them, and then if there any problems, then we bring our vendor product teams and service to interact with them so that we try to identify whether it's engineering problems or the clinical problems. And the second thing is the ECRI.
Okay.
Again, they always help us for the device call alert. We call alerts. So we sign up with them for the ECRI and global alerts, so that every month I used to receive the email alert from them. So that's a good interaction with the global. I used to interact with some of the US DMEs, Canadian DMEs, so that we have a lot of always we share the best practices. So for example, recently last year we learned the Canadian DME as well as some of the US upstate hospitals in the US, they use the tablets for the work orders and other things, for example, so we implemented here, so we don't use the paper work orders, we use the paperless, so we use support the eco-grade. So in the sense, we also learned the what is the best practices we use our counterparts in the system.
If we are talking about medical equipment standards in terms of compliance, I think all countries are actually compliant with the similar standards. Because that's basically going back to the manufacturers who manufacturing different devices, what standards they actually comply with. Basically, IEC for electrical, that sort of a standard that we actually follow. Differences could be in a sense that how do we actually implement strongly in these standards for maintenance purpose of the equipment. So that could be the differences between ASEAN countries in comparison to Singapore. Singapore, in terms of we have very strong discipline on how do we actually maintain piece of equipment. Purely looking at the aspect of patient safety. So those are things that possibly could be the differences.
Okay, that is helpful. Thank you so much.
I think on the question from Gerard. So moving forward, what are the approaches being implemented for different to get more current hospitals?
I think currently the local education are also supporting to some extent. We have the polytechnics and universities. They all now come up with the so-called biomedical engineering program. Previously, I come about 7 years back, we were only telling 1 or 2, but now almost all the poly they have a biomedical engineering. All the universities have except design. Now all of the staff well qualified biomedical engineering background. So what they join, perhaps they have a little effort and time to learn. It is just like exposure to the we have to, for example, like we also told us the doctors, the medical work, they like that, they are able to speak with the clinical work, clinical professional work and all. And after a while, we send our people. So the CFO usually is a small work, small group. So we always interact with the each hospital. We always share with our problems. If they specific equipment have any application issue, we always interact with our team. We also come up with a common what is the best solution. We also interact with the vendors. And also sometimes ECRA and the ACC, American Association of Team and lot decide to find out, for example, a particular product or a problem. We always approach them, they will find the answer, even they help us in order to talk to them, find a solution to the Indian side and what is the best solution for the teach.
So how does I have one question, how does the current, moving towards engineering, how does the schools prepare the students for the engineering? Is our current curriculum in the colleges, are they preparing for students and engineers to do clinical engineering work?
Yeah, actually, our the nature of work here, the biomedical engineering is a wide scope. They cover not only for focus on the hospitals, because unlike the US and Western, the number of hospitals is quite high compared to here. So they don't specific for the clinical engineering. But anyway, the syllabus which I went through in EPU, where I did my master's in biomedical engineering, the syllabus already covers enough clinical exposure, but still they need a hospital experience so that they can interact with the problems being faced by the clinical. So that aspect I feel it, they need a practical experience so that unless otherwise they work with the hospital, they face the same problem of the
back to Dr. comment that the practical experience clinically, this is something that can be done only when you are in a hospital environment. So maybe my question, maybe more towards Daniel. When we talk about our interaction locally in Singapore, kind of biomedical environment, is that we pretty much don't interact as much as what the US data engineers do. So how do you view Singapore's biomedical engineering profession? How do you view the future? How do we go towards the future of clinical engineering? Can we do something moving towards US things? How do you see the future in the next 5 years?
The difficulties, I think, even this morning, I think opening ceremony also highlighted the issue is getting recognized by the industry. At the moment, I think most of the countries, biomedical engineers are not well recognized. So they are pretty much like behind the scenes. So this is the part that I think biomedical engineers need to push forward in terms of getting recognized by the physicians, especially. So to do that, we need to improve as much as possible our clinical knowledge. So when we begin to discuss with the physicians that in terms of what are their needs, and we are able to address their needs through the technology, that is where I think we will be able to develop the clinical engineers in this part of the world. So currently, I think, as Senthil also mentioned, that institutions in Singapore already have producing biomedical engineers. In fact, one of the years they were talking about they are producing in the institutions, all the institutions together is around 700 students. So these students, unfortunately, they are not all of them or majority of them interested to work in a hospital environment. So most of them actually join other industries. Some of them may do in terms of research work. So when it's important to get the interested parties joining hospital environment. So that is where that you will be able to interact with the patients. Or research institutions. That is where you can actually interact with the scientists. So that is the only means my view in terms of only means that we could able to produce clinical engineers. So going forward for 3 to 5 years in Singapore, we are in the right track, but there are a lot more needs to be done by the institutions in terms of polytechnics, universities, and also the private hospitals, because specifically the private hospitals, we are having certain difficulties in terms of when we want to do certain research work, we are not able to do it because we need patient consent. But at government hospitals, there may be certain possibilities there. So these are things that we probably need to I have one question in terms of, we have 2 of the young biomedical engineers here in this panel. I wanted to find out from these 2 that what makes you to get into this field? What interest do you have in the biomedical engineering?
I think, okay, maybe from my point of view, the biomedical engineering profession, something that is unique in the sense that you get to interact mostly with patients and the nursing department. And this is where we are also utilizing what we learn in our schooling days, because mainly they are quite driven by academic in the sense that biomedical engineering and all the background on the medical equipment per se. But when we look at the whole environment of biomedical engineering, it's not just regarding medical equipment itself, but we're also talking about interaction with patients. That means how the medical equipment itself are able to provide or optimize patient safety. And how to optimize patient safety is not just between the equipment and the patient, but more rather than many parties, including clinicians, how clinicians are able to utilize the equipment safely, alright? Because it's very dynamic in the sense that it's not just the patient, but you still need to go through proper training clinicians, how to detect that. So in this respect, biomedical engineering has the first-hand experience, and we are able to also combine and guide nursing the clinicians that how to use it from a technical point of view, what are the safety things that we are looking at. So I think in this respect, our profession is important to ensure that the proper value of the equipment is delivered to the hospital. So in this case, I think this is something, the value that is given by the biomedical engineering is not just as a routine like commissioning or maintenance, but much more than that. So I hope that everybody can see the value of it. Yeah.
Well, I think Singapore, the biomedical industry is rather niche market in Singapore. So in the line in the field, get the all things that the other industries and also exposed to other aspects as well. Besides equipment, we also look into other areas such as bodies, standards to follow, compliance, etc. Which in the biomedical field in Singapore, this is something which is a rare opportunity for us to experience another industries where it can be quite a day-to-day job and it's rather straightforward about maybe maintenance of some gadgets, and you don't follow through the rest of the other aspects, especially patient safety that we
I got some questions wanted to ask, so maybe I ask, then anyone around can answer. So I think this question is pertaining to BME, okay? And then I think because we are from the Biomedical Engineering Society, so the questions from the member is that how can we maximize our benefit to help the Singapore Biomedical Engineering Society in the hospital? How could we better serve them? Because as a society, because we are made up of all the engineers working in private companies, working in the hospitals, how do we actually serve the biomedical engineers in Singapore? And how do we serve them? And second question is how do we raise awareness to them? Well, maybe raising awareness I can answer. Maybe raising awareness is because we want to go around to hospitals and outreach to the biomedical engineering departments, especially to them, and then telling them what are the benefits. And what are the things that Biomedical Engineering Society does, the healthcare sector that we are actually in, do for them. Okay, and the last question is about a private company. How does a private company, I think he's working in a private company, how does a private company together with healthcare sector lift up, a biomedical engineering society?
So, right, to answer your first question, right? First, you make sure that all the global, so far the PABs are really Indian. Okay?
We what?
Really Indian, correct. Maybe you set up the PAB connectivity.
Okay.
So that we try to do a lot of, I think probably because of the war, then the war will be, like technology so fast. So the engineers also, they are moving on wheels. So we try to arrange, but most of the time we only on talk over the phone. I time a lot of government engineers and managers over the phone. But any point of time we try to beat, but it's very, very difficult to beat the connectivity. Yeah, that's why. Probably if you have a really immediate connectivity, probably we will have a better, common understanding, so that we can push the Biomedical Engineering Society to the sky. To the sky level.
Okay.
Okay. And the second is we use my intention is we reunion all the AVs so that we have to bring the some of the best people from the outside, like US. There are a lot of people. I have another group. A lot of ESG. I was a member of Vegetation Engineering for the Society of Health Engineering, ASG, for the last 6 years. So there are a lot of people willing to come to share their professional experience, knowledge, or things we can share away, so that helps us to improve our standard and the way our workflow and the disciplinary approach.
Maybe what we can do is that we can bring some of these people over here in Singapore to share something. Okay, maybe telling any thoughts on this?
I think we probably need to look at also that how we actually accept medical equipment. So which is in fact in past, I would say maybe 10-15 years, with the formation of the HSA, the Health Science Authority, a lot of things been actually sort of streamlined, but there are a lot more to be done in terms of acceptance of different types of devices which been actually introduced to this part of the world. So when it comes to acceptance in terms of different institutions have different way of work style, then this may not help in terms of improving the biomedical engineers or clinical engineers in terms of in this basically in Singapore. So if we get together and if we are able to sort of establish certain standards to follow and certain procedures to be implemented, I think then we are pretty much in terms of aligned to each other. I would say it's more synced. So with that, I think we should be able to boost up the awareness in Singapore. Because pretty much what is happening in most institutions, because of the healthcare costs rising, if you look at the finance point of view or administrator's point of view, they are more towards saving the cost. So the current biomedical engineers probably driven towards that aspect. So they are trying to do is whatever work done is trying to save cost. So but saving cost can drive to different areas in terms of, because even like specifically, like if you are not installing the right or utilizing the right spare parts, that can actually compromise the patient safety. So these are areas that need to look at. These are areas that if we can establish proper, then the finance managers, finance parties, as well as the administrators, we can actually get them to recognize biomedical engineers. Work that we actually executed in different institutions or in this field. So that is a gap we need to actually fill up, and we need to put that message across to these parties to get recognition.
Thank you, Danny. Okay, I'd like any more questions from those who logged in? Second? Okay, if not, I'd like to. Okay, let me end the session. I'd like to end by extending my appreciation to Professor James Goh for making this possible for Biomedical Engineering Society, and also Han Sung for all the assistance all the way from Beijing to help us make this session possible. Also, a big thank you to our guests, Daniel and Sergio, for taking time out to join us and share their thoughts and experience. We will have benefited a lot from their sharing. And also thanks to all the BS members around the table and those who logged in, and some from as far as Philippines. And also thank you all for spending that 1 hour or maybe 45 minutes meaningful sessions with us. And hope you all have enjoyed and benefited from this session. Thank you very much.